Here we have the Battle of Cheriton that was fought in 1644 during the English Civil War. We'll be using Pike and Shot rules from black powder, and the scale of the troops at 28mm. The object of the game is for either side to occupy and hold either Cheriton Woods or the town of Cheriton itself. And here we can see a couple of the initial starting positions. These are the Royalist troops and their cavalry on the right flank of their position. And here we can see some of the Royalists beginning to move up in their attempt to take the town of Cheriton. Not all of the Royalist forces can be seen at the beginning of the game, so the parliamentarians that attack, certainly through the Cheriton Woods, will have to be a little bit careful. And here we can see some of the parliamentarian troops now beginning to advance. The parliamentarians on their left flank has occupied the town of Cheriton, and they're now coming into a firefight with the advancing Royalist troops that are going to try and push them out. The Royalists have got support of an artillery battery. Parliamentarians are now beginning to push forward on their right flank into Cheriton Woods, and they're coming across a couple of Royalist units that have already occupied the woods, so they're going to have to push them out in order to gain control of the woods. And here we see some parliamentarians are advancing around the far left flank of their position around the town of Cheriton, trying to help the troops that are there that are being attacked by the Royalists. Royalists are throwing in quite a lot of troops into the assault on the town, but the parliamentarian troops arrive as reinforcements and subsequently attack the Royalist troops and push them back and break a couple of the units completely. So for now the town of Cheriton is quite firmly in parliamentarian hands. Parliamentarian forces now begin to push the Royalist troops back through Cheriton Wood, and because their position on the right flank, the Royalists have now moved their cavalry over to shore up the position there, and the Royalist cavalry on their left flank is now beginning to form up. The Royalist cavalry outside Cheriton town unfortunately gets disrupted by fire from the town and from supporting artillery, and the parliamentarian attack in Cheriton Wood continues to push through. Parliamentarians move up their cavalry on the left flank now to counter the Royalist cavalry. And they decide that they're going to charge the Royalist cavalry in an attempt to break them as well. Royalist commander in the centre decides it's time to get the cavalry there formed up and ready to move, and dispatches one of the units just in case the battle that's going on the Royalist right flank doesn't go too well. Parliamentarian troops are now pushing pretty much all the way through Cheriton Woods. Royalist forces there are beginning to fall back, and some cavalry countercharges going on the Parliamentarian left flank. Unfortunately, a couple of the Parliamentarian units don't fare too well and are broken and pushed back themselves, so the fight on the left flank begins to fall into a bit of a stalemate. Parliamentarian forces pushing through Cheriton Woods now manage to finally break the Royalist units that are there, and to counter this, the Royalist commander orders his cavalry in the centre to charge. Some extra Royalist troops now become available to see as the Parliamentarians finally get through Cheriton Woods, chasing the Royalist commander along. There's some more cavalry skirmishes on the Parliamentarian left flank, and the Royalists decide it's now time for their cavalry to try and charge the Parliamentarian centre in an attempt to relieve the pressure on both of their flanks. The Parliamentarian troops now get to the edge of Cheriton Woods and can now observe the Royalist forces. And we now get some more cavalry charging and counter-charging in the centre, which the Royalists start having the best of that, and a couple of the Parliamentarian units are pushed back and routed. And as the battle draws to a close, you could argue that it's a minor Parliamentarian victory, as they do occupy the wood and the village.